Admiral Hana stood at the wide window of the Sol orbital station. She looked out at the stars that filled the dark space around Earth. The coffee in her hand was still warm. It was a quiet morning, just like every other morning for the past 6 months. The station was huge. It floated high above Earth, spinning slowly to create gravity for the people inside. From her office, Hana could see the blue and green planet below. White clouds moved across the surface like slow rivers. It was beautiful and peaceful. Commander Minho walked into her office. He carried a datapad in his hand. His face looked calm, but Hana knew him well. She could see worry in his eyes. "Good morning, Admiral," Minho said. He stopped in front of her desk and waited. "What do you have for me today?" Hana asked. She moved away from the window and sat down at her desk. The chair was comfortable, made of soft leather that had lasted for years. Minho touched the datapad. Numbers and charts appeared on the wall screen. The usual patrol reports from the outer system. Nothing strange. Ship traffic is normal. The mining stations are working well. Hana looked at the reports. Everything seemed normal. Earth had been peaceful for 200 years. Since humans learned to travel faster than light, they had spread to nearby star systems. They built colonies on distant planets and mining stations around other suns. But they had never met other intelligent life. "Any word from the deep space scanners?" Hana asked. "All quiet," Minho replied. "The Kuiper Belt stations report normal readings. Background radiation is steady, no unusual energy signatures." The deep space scanners were Earth's eyes and ears. They watched for anything that might be dangerous, rocks from space that could hit Earth, solar storms that could damage satellites, or other things that humans had never seen before. Hana nodded. "Good. Keep monitoring everything." Minho started to leave, but stopped. "Admiral, there is one small thing. Captain Jiwon sent a message from the Baekdu. She wants to talk to you." Captain Jiwon commanded a reconnaissance ship called the Baekdu. It was one of Earth's fastest ships. It could travel far from home and come back quickly. Jiwon was one of the best pilots in the fleet. "Put her through," Hana said. The wall screen changed. Captain Jiwon appeared on it. She was on the bridge of her ship. Behind her, Hana could see other crew members working at their stations. The ship looked clean and organized. "Admiral," Jiwon said, "I wanted to report something strange." "Go ahead," Hana replied. "We're on patrol near the edge of the solar system. About 3 hours ago, we started picking up some unusual readings. Very faint. At first, we thought it was just background noise from a distant star." Hana leaned forward. "But now you think it's something else?" "Yes, ma'am. The readings are getting stronger, and they seem to have a pattern. Lieutenant Kyung thinks they might be artificial signals." Hana felt a small chill run down her back. In 200 years of space travel, humans had never found signs of other intelligent life. They had found planets with simple life forms, plants and small animals, but nothing that could build spaceships or send signals. "How sure is Lieutenant Kyung?" Hana asked. "Not completely sure," Jiwon admitted. "But she's very good at her job. She says the signals are too organized to be natural." Commander Minho stepped closer to the screen. "Captain, can you send us the data?" "Already done," Jiwon said. "You should have it now." Minho looked at his datapad. Numbers scrolled across. The screen. His face became more serious as he read. "Admiral," Minho said quietly, "these readings are definitely artificial. They're very complex, and they're getting stronger every hour." Hana stood up. She walked to the window again and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, something was sending signals toward Earth. Something intelligent. Something that might be coming their way. "Captain Jiwon," Hana said, "I want you to move closer to those signals. But be careful. Stay hidden. Don't let anything detect your ship." "Understood, Admiral," Jiwon replied. The screen went dark. Minho was still studying the data. "Admiral, I think we should call Dr. Soman. If these are really alien signals, she's the only person who might be able to understand them. Dr. Soman was Earth's best expert on languages. She had studied every human language that ever existed. She had also created computer programs that could analyze new languages very quickly. If aliens were trying to communicate, she would be the one to figure out what they were saying. Good idea, Hana said. Call her right away. 20 minutes later, Dr. Soman arrived at the station. She was a small woman with kind eyes and gray hair. She carried a large bag full of computers and equipment. She had been working on Earth when Minho called her. A fast shuttle brought her up to the orbital station. Show me everything, Soman said as soon as she walked into the office. Minho connected her computers to the station's main system. Soon, data from the Baekdu filled the screens around the room. Strange patterns of energy moved across the displays, like waves on an electronic ocean. Soman worked for 3 hours without stopping. Her fingers moved quickly across her keyboard. Numbers and symbols flowed across her screens. Sometimes she would stop and stare at a pattern. Then she would start, typing again. Hana and Minho watched her work. They brought her coffee and food, but she barely noticed. She was completely focused on the alien signals. Finally, Somin looked up from her computers. Her face was pale. Admiral, she said, I have good news and bad news. Give me the bad news. First, Hana said, these signals are definitely from aliens. They're very advanced, much more complex than any human language, but I've been able to decode some of them. And the good news? Soman's face became even more serious. There is no good news. These aren't communication signals. They're military coordination messages. The aliens are talking to each other about attack plans. The room became very quiet. Hana felt her heart beat faster. What kind of attack plans? Minho asked. They're planning to attack Earth, Somin said. From what I can understand, they think humans are a weak species. They want to take our planet and use our resources. Hana walked to her desk and pressed a red button. Alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. All over the station, people began moving to their emergency positions. How long do we have? Hana asked. Somin looked at her computer again. Based on the strength of the signals, I think they're very close. Maybe a few hours, maybe less. Minho was already sending messages to all Earth's military bases. Admiral, I'm putting all forces on high alert. Should I activate the Soul Protocols? The C. Soul Protocols were Earth's most secret defense plans. They had been developed over many years but never used. Most people didn't even know they existed. Not yet, Hana said. First, let's see what we're dealing with. Captain Jiwon's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, you need to see this. The main screen showed the view from the Baekdu. At first, Hana saw only stars and empty space. Then something began to appear. Ships, huge ships. More ships than Hana had ever seen in one place. The alien fleet was massive. Each ship was larger than Earth's biggest space station. There were hundreds of them. They moved through space in perfect formation, like a school of giant metal fish. My God, Minho whispered. The ships were beautiful in a terrible way. They had smooth curves and strange angles. Lights moved along their surfaces in patterns that hurt to look at. They were clearly built by minds very different from human minds. Admiral, Jiwon's voice was tight with fear. They're charging their weapons. All of them. On the screen, the alien ships began to glow. Energy gathered at points along their hulls. The light grew brighter and brighter. Hana knew what was about to happen. The aliens were preparing to attack Earth. They were going to try to destroy humanity's home world. She looked around her office, at the pictures of Earth on the walls, at Commander Minho, who had served with her for 10 years, at Dr. Soman, who was still trying to understand the alien signals. For 200 years, humans had lived in peace. They had built wonderful things. They had explored the stars and created new homes on distant worlds. They had believed that if they ever met aliens, they could be friends. But these aliens had not come in peace. They had come to destroy. Hana pressed another button on her desk. This one was black, and she had hoped never to use it. "This is Admiral Hana to all Earth Defense Forces," she said. Her voice was calm and strong. "We are under attack by an alien fleet. They have fired first. They have chosen war over peace." She paused and looked out at the stars one more time. "Activate the Soul protocols. Show them what happens when someone threatens Earth." War Prime Thexulan stood on the bridge of the flagship destroyer of worlds. The bridge was huge and dark, lit only by the glow of weapon displays and tactical screens. Around him, his officers worked at their stations. They moved with the confidence of a species that had conquered dozens of worlds. Thexulan was tall, even for his people. His skin was gray and covered with small metal plates. His eyes glowed with a cold blue light. He had led the Vakari Empire's fleets for over 50 years. He had never lost a battle. "Fleet Commander Zekthor," he called out. His voice was deep and rough, like metal scraping against stone. "Yes, War Prime," Zekthor replied. He was smaller than Thexulan, but his metal armor made him look dangerous. Scars covered his face from many battles. "What do our scouts tell us about this world?" Zekthor looked at his data screen. "The planet is called Earth by the creatures that live there. The species calls itself human. They have basic space travel, but their technology is primitive. They have small settlements on nearby planets, but nothing that can threaten us." Thexulan nodded. This was what he expected. The Vakari Empire had been expanding across the galaxy for 1,000 years. They had seen many young species. All of them had been weak. All of them had fallen quickly. "How many ships do they have?" Thexulan asked. "Our intelligence says less than 1,000 ships in their entire fleet. Most are small cargo vessels. They have perhaps 50 military ships, but they are poorly armed." Thexulan laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. 50 ships against our 200? This will be over before it begins. The Vakari fleet was the pride of the Empire. Each ship was a kilometer long and packed with weapons. They had shields that could stop any attack. They had guns that could destroy planets. They had conquered civilizations much more advanced than these humans. "War Prime," another officer called out. "We are receiving a transmission from the planet." "Put it through," Thexulan said. A human voice filled the bridge. It spoke in several different languages, but Zekthor's computers quickly translated it. "Attention alien vessels. This is Admiral Hana of Earth Defense Command. We wish to communicate with you peacefully. Please respond if you can understand this message." The Vakari officers looked at each other and laughed. The humans wanted to talk. They always wanted to talk. Every species did when they first saw the Vakari fleet. They always hoped they could avoid what was coming. "Should we respond, War Prime?" Zekthor asked. "Yes," Thexulan said. "Send them our standard message." Zekthor pressed several buttons on his control panel. The message went out to Earth in the human languages their computers had learned. "Humans of Earth, you will surrender. Immediately, you will give us your planet and your resources. If you refuse, we will destroy every human in this star system. You have 1 hour to decide." On the bridge of the Soul Orbital Station, Admiral Hana listened to the alien message. The voice was cold and mechanical. It spoke human words, but there was no human feeling in it. Commander Minho stood beside her. His face was angry. "They're not even pretending to be peaceful." "No," Hana agreed. "They've done this before. Many times." Dr. Soman was still working at her computers. She had been listening to more alien transmissions. "Admiral, I've decoded more of their messages. They're not just planning to take Earth. They're planning to kill everyone on it." "What do you mean?" Hana asked. "They don't see us as people," Soman explained. "To them, we're just animals. They plan to remove all humans and use Earth as a mining colony. They've done this to other species. I can see references to dozens of extinct civilizations in their communications." Hana felt cold anger growing in her chest. These aliens had traveled across space to commit genocide. They had destroyed entire species. Now they wanted to do the same to humanity. How long until they attack? She asked. Minho checked his sensors. Their weapons are almost fully charged. I'd say 20 minutes, maybe less. On the alien flagship, War Prime Thexalon watched his tactical display. The human planet hung in space before them, blue and beautiful. Soon it would belong to the Vakari Empire. War Prime, Zekthor reported. All ships are ready to begin bombardment. Planet killer missiles are armed and targeted at major population centers. Good, Thexalon said. Begin the attack. I want this planet cleansed of human life within 6 hours. The Vakari fleet opened fire. Hundreds of massive missiles launched from their ships. Each missile carried enough destructive power to wipe out an entire city. They streaked through space toward Earth, leaving trails of fire behind them. On Earth, billions of people went about their daily lives. Children played in parks. Adults worked in offices and factories. Families shared meals together. None of them knew that death was racing toward them from the darkness of space. But Admiral Hana knew. She watched the missiles on her tactical display. They would reach Earth in 15 minutes. When they hit, millions of people would die instantly. Cities would be turned to dust. The beautiful blue planet would become a burning wasteland. Admiral, Commander Minho said quietly. Your orders? Hana looked around the bridge. Everyone was watching her. These people trusted her to protect Earth and everyone on it. She had trained for this moment her entire life, but she had hoped it would never come. Contact Colonel Tae-hyun, she said. Tell him to prepare the rapid response fleet for immediate launch. Yes, ma'am, Minho replied. Colonel Tae-hyun commanded Earth's fastest warships. His ships were designed to respond quickly to any threat. They were good ships with brave crews, but Hana knew they couldn't stop the alien fleet alone. The colonel's face appeared on the main screen. He was a young man with determined eyes. Behind him, Hana could see his crew preparing for battle. Admiral, Tae-hyun said, my ships are ready to launch. Give me the order and we'll show these aliens what humans can do. Not yet, Colonel, Hana replied. I want you ready, but wait for my signal. Tae-hyun looked confused. Admiral, those missiles will hit Earth in 12 minutes. We need to intercept them now. Trust me, Colonel. Wait for my signal. Hana turned to Dr. Soman. Doctor, are you still intercepting their communications? Yes, Admiral. They're coordinating their attack. They seem very confident. Are they saying anything about our defenses? Soman listened to her translation programs for a moment. They think Earth has no real defenses. They believe this will be an easy victory. One of their commanders just said that humans are probably too primitive to even detect their missiles. Hana smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. They're about to learn something important about humans. She walked to her command chair and sat down. Her fingers found the controls that she had hoped never to use. The Sol protocols had been developed in secret over many years. Most people on Earth didn't know they existed. Even most military officers had never heard of them. But Hana knew. She had helped design them. She knew exactly what would happen when she activated them. Computer, she said. Begin Sol protocol authorization sequence, a female voice responded. Admiral Hana confirmed. Biometric scan in progress. Red light swept across Hana's face and hands. The computer was making sure. She was really who she claimed to be. The Sol protocols were too dangerous to activate by accident. Biometric scan complete. Please state your authorization code. Authorization code Sol 77 Alpha Echo 9, Hana said clearly. Authorization code accepted. Sol protocols are now active. All hidden defense systems are online. Around Earth, things began to change. Hidden weapons that had slept for decades started to wake up. Satellites that looked like communication relays opened to reveal massive guns. Underground installations that were supposed to be research stations lifted heavy blast doors. On distant asteroids, mining equipment turned out to be disguised missile launchers. Space stations that were supposed to study the stars were actually military fortresses. Even the moon had secrets hidden beneath its surface. The Valkyrie missiles were still racing toward Earth. In the alien fleet, War Prime Thexulan watched their progress with satisfaction. "Excellent," he said. "The humans haven't even tried to stop our missiles. They truly are a primitive species." But Fleet Commander Zekthor was frowning at his sensor display. "War Prime, I'm reading some strange energy signatures from the human planet." "What kind of signatures?" "I'm not sure. They just appeared. It's like weapons systems coming online, but that's impossible. Our intelligence clearly showed that humans have no planetary defenses." Thexulan looked at his own display. He saw the same energy readings. For the first time in 50 years of warfare, he felt a small doubt. "Probably just their communication systems," he said. "Humans are probably trying to coordinate some kind of evacuation." But even as he said it, he wasn't completely sure. On Earth, Admiral Hana watched her own displays. The alien missiles were now 8 minutes away. Around the planet, her hidden weapons were charging their power systems. Soon the aliens would learn that attacking Earth was a very bad idea. "Admiral," Commander Minho said, "all defense systems report ready. Should I begin intercept procedures?" "Not yet," Hana replied. "Let them get a little closer. I want to make sure we get all of them." The alien missiles continued their approach. They were beautiful in their way, sleek and deadly. Each one was a masterpiece of destructive technology. In a few minutes, they would hit Earth's atmosphere and begin their final descent. The space around Earth suddenly filled with light. Thousands of hidden weapons fired at once. Rail guns that had been disguised as weather stations shot metal slugs at incredible speeds. Laser cannons hidden in communication satellites sent beams of pure energy racing toward the alien missiles. Every single alien missile was destroyed before it could travel even halfway to Earth. They exploded in brilliant flashes of light that lit up the darkness of space. Where moments before there had been a deadly swarm of planet killers, now there was only expanding clouds of debris. On the bridge of the Destroyer of Worlds, War Prime Thexulan stared at his displays in shock. His sensors showed that every missile had been destroyed. All of them, in less than 30 seconds. "Impossible," he whispered. Fleet Commander Zekthor was frantically checking his equipment. "War Prime, the humans have planetary defenses we never detected. Massive ones. I'm reading energy signatures all around their planet." "How is this possible?" Thexulan demanded. "Our intelligence said they were primitive." "Sir, I'm detecting more energy buildups. The humans are targeting our ships now." On Earth, Admiral Hana watched the destruction of the alien missiles with grim satisfaction. But this was only the beginning. The aliens had attacked first. Now humanity would show them what that decision would cost. "Commander Minho," she said, "Phase 2. "Yes, Admiral. Initiating Phase 2 of Sol Protocols." Around the alien fleet, space began to shimmer. The air itself seemed to bend and twist. Then suddenly, human ships appeared where there had been nothing before. Captain Dongyuk smiled as his stealth destroyer, the Hongik, dropped its cloaking field. Around him, 50 other ships did the same. They had been there all along, invisible and waiting. The aliens had never seen them coming. "This is Captain Dongyuk to all ships," he said into his communicator. "The alien fleet is surrounded. Begin. Attack pattern Alpha." The human ships opened fire, but their weapons were unlike anything the Valkyrie had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or missiles, they fired solid metal slugs at tremendous speeds. The slugs were so fast, they were almost invisible. They hit the alien ships like hammers striking glass. The Valkyrie shields, which had protected them through 1,000 battles, were useless. The human kinetic weapons went right through them as if they weren't there. Alien ships that had seemed invincible moments before suddenly had huge holes punched through their hulls. "Return fire!" Thexolon screamed. The Vakari fleet tried to fight back. They fired their energy weapons at the human ships. But the humans were ready for this too. Their ships had special armor that absorbed energy attacks and converted them into power for their own weapons. Lieutenant Commander Yuna was in charge of the planetary defense grid. From her command center, deep underground, she controlled weapons that the aliens couldn't even see. Her railguns were hidden all over Earth's surface. Some looked like radio towers. Others were disguised as factories or research stations. Target the large ships first, she ordered her crew. Let's show them what real firepower looks like. The hidden railguns fired in sequence. Each shot was a metal slug the size of a car, accelerated to nearly the speed of light. When they hit the alien ships, the results were devastating. The slugs didn't just punch holes. They went completely through the ships and came out the other side, leaving trails of destruction behind them. One of the largest alien ships, a massive dreadnought called the Sword of Empire, took 3 direct hits. The first slug destroyed its main weapons. The second tore through its power core. The third hit its engine room. In seconds, the mighty warship was a drifting wreck. Back on the Destroyer of Worlds, Thexolon was beginning to panic. In 50 years of warfare, he had never seen anything like this. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were winning. "Sir," Zekthor reported, his voice shaking. "We've lost 12 ships in the first 2 minutes. The human weapons are cutting through our shields like they're not even there." "How can this be?" Thexolon demanded. "No species has ever developed kinetic weapons this advanced. Energy shields are supposed to be the ultimate defense." "The humans seem to understand something we don't," Zekthor replied. "They're not using energy weapons at all, just solid projectiles moving very fast." Engineer Sayok was aboard the orbital fortress Hanbok. His station was responsible for humanity's most secret weapon. He had spent years working on quantum torpedoes, weapons that didn't just destroy matter, but erased it from existence entirely. "Admiral," he reported to Hana, "quantum torpedoes are ready for deployment. Pick your targets carefully, engineer." "Sayok," Hana replied. "I want the aliens to see what happens when they threaten our home." Sayok selected the largest alien ship he could find. It was called the Destroyer of Souls, and it was nearly 2 kilometers long. Its massive guns had destroyed entire planets. Now it would learn what human ingenuity could accomplish. The quantum torpedo was small, no bigger than a person. It didn't look dangerous, but when it hit the alien ship, something incredible happened. The ship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a massive fortress of metal and weapons. The next moment there was nothing but empty space. The effect spread outward from the point of impact. First the bow of the ship vanished, then the middle section, then the engines. In less than 10 seconds, the entire ship was gone. Not destroyed, not broken apart, gone. As if it had never existed at all. The nearby alien ships pulled back in. Terror. In all their centuries of warfare, the Vakari had never seen anything like this. It violated everything they knew about physics and reality. "What? What was that?" Zekthor whispered. Thexolon had no answer. He had watched one of his most powerful ships simply stop existing. No explosion, no debris, nothing. It was the most terrifying thing he had ever seen. Captain Donghyuk led his squadron of stealth destroyers against the alien fleet's left flank. His ships moved like ghosts, appearing and disappearing as their cloaking systems activated and deactivated. The aliens couldn't track them or predict where they would attack next. "This is too easy," his weapons officer reported. "The aliens are fighting like they've never faced kinetic weapons before." "They probably haven't," Donghyuk replied. "Most species probably develop energy weapons first, but humans are different. We've been throwing rocks at our enemies since the dawn of time. We just learned to throw them really, really fast. His ship fired another volley of kinetic slugs. They tore through an alien cruiser, leaving it spinning helplessly in space. Atmosphere streamed from its ruptured hull like blood from a wound. On Earth, Dr. Soman was still monitoring alien communications. What she heard filled her with a mixture of satisfaction and pity. "Admiral," she reported to Hana, "the aliens are panicking. Their communications are becoming chaotic. They keep asking each other how this is possible." "What are they saying exactly?" Hana asked. "They're calling us demons, monsters. They can't understand how a primitive species developed weapons they've never seen before. Some of their commanders are suggesting retreat. And their war prime? He's refusing to retreat." But I can hear the fear in his voice. He's never faced anything like this before. The battle continued to rage around Earth. But it wasn't really a battle anymore. It was a demonstration. The aliens had come expecting to fight primitive humans with simple weapons. Instead, they found themselves facing technology that was centuries ahead of their own. Major Wu Jin led a boarding party onto one of the alien ships. His team wore power armor that made them look like metal giants. The aliens who tried to fight them might as well have been throwing stones at tanks. "These aliens are tough," one of his soldiers reported. "But their weapons can't even scratch our armor." "Stay focused," Wu Jin replied. "Take prisoners if you can. The Admiral will want to question them." The boarding action was swift and brutal. The human soldiers moved through the alien ship like unstoppable machines. Their weapons were designed to disable rather than kill, but the aliens couldn't tell the difference. Many of them surrendered immediately when they saw what they were up against. In his underground command center, Fleet Admiral Jun-ho watched the battle with calm satisfaction. For 200 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. They had developed weapons and tactics in secret, hoping they would never be needed. But when the time came, they were ready. "Status report," he requested. "Alien fleet is down to 60% strength and falling," his aide reported. "We've lost no ships and suffered minimal damage. The enemy is completely outmatched." "Excellent. Continue the attack. I want their leadership alive, but destroy any ship that refuses to surrender." The human ships pressed their advantage. They moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single massive organism. Each ship knew exactly where the others were and what they were doing. The aliens, by contrast, were fighting as individuals, with no overall strategy. Commander Hyejin led the pursuit squadron. Her job was to make sure no alien ships escaped, to warn their empire about humanity's true capabilities. "Activating FTL interdiction field," she announced. Around the battle zone, space itself began to change. The fabric of reality twisted and bent. Suddenly, the alien ships found that they couldn't activate their faster-than-light drives. "Sir," one of the alien navigation officers reported to Thek Sulan. Fleet Admiral Junho emerged from his hidden command center deep beneath the mountains of Korea. For 2 centuries, this facility had been Earth's most closely guarded secret. From here, he had coordinated humanity's response to the alien attack. Now he stood in the sunlight, watching transport ships carry alien prisoners to secure facilities. The command center had been built to survive anything: nuclear war, asteroid impacts, even the destruction of Earth's surface. It contained the most advanced computers humanity had ever built, along with detailed plans for defending against every possible threat, including alien invasion. "Admiral, Hana," Junho said into his communicator, "please join me on the surface. We need to discuss the next phase." On the Seoul orbital station, Hana received the message. She had been watching the cleanup operations around Earth. Human ships were collecting the wreckage of the alien fleet. Engineers were studying the alien technology, trying to understand how it worked. "Commander Minho," she said, "you have the station. I'm going down to meet with Fleet Admiral Junho." Minho nodded. "What should I do with the prisoners?" "Keep them comfortable but secure. Dr. Soman will want to interview them. We need to learn everything we can about their empire. A shuttle carried Hana down to Earth's surface. As she flew through the atmosphere, she looked out at the planet below. Cities sparkled in the sunlight. Rivers wound through green forests. Farms covered the rolling hills. All of it was safe now, protected by humanity's hidden strength. The shuttle landed at a military base that didn't appear on any public maps. Armed guards escorted Hana to a meeting room where Fleet Admiral Junho was waiting. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. But Hana knew that behind those kind eyes was one of the most brilliant military minds humanity had ever produced. Excellent work, Admiral, Junho said as she entered the room. The alien threat has been neutralized with 0 human casualties. Thank you, sir. But I suspect this is just the beginning. Junho nodded grimly. You're right. These aliens were part of a much larger empire. Our prisoners have told us some interesting things about their civilization. He activated a holographic display. Star maps filled the room, showing hundreds of solar systems. Many of them were marked with red symbols. This is the Vakari Empire, Junho explained. It stretches across thousands of light years. They've been conquering other species for over a millennium. According to our prisoners, they've destroyed dozens of civilizations. Hana studied the map. The empire was vast, much larger than human space. How many ships do they have? Millions, Junho replied. The fleet we just destroyed was tiny compared to their total forces. If they decide to send everything they have against us, then we'll destroy everything they have, Hana said firmly. Junho smiled. I like your confidence, but we need to be smart about this. The aliens made one crucial mistake. They underestimated us completely. We need to make sure the rest of their empire makes the same mistake. On a prison ship orbiting Earth, War Prime Thexulan sat in a comfortable cell. It was clean and well lit, with a bed, a desk, and even books to read. The humans were treating him better than he had ever treated his own prisoners. A human woman entered his cell. She was small and friendly-looking, with gray hair and kind eyes. She carried a translator device that would allow them to speak to each other. Hello? She said in perfect Vakari. I'm Dr. Somin. I'd like to ask you some questions. Thexulan looked at her with surprise. You speak our language very well for a primitive species. Somin smiled. We're full of surprises. May I sit down? Thexulan gestured to a chair. He was curious about these humans. They had defeated his fleet with ease, but now they were treating him with respect. It was confusing. I want to understand your empire, Somin said. How many worlds do you control? Over 3,000, Thexulan replied. He saw no reason to lie. We are the greatest civilization in the galaxy. Were those worlds inhabited when you conquered them? Most of them. We relocated the primitive species to make room for true civilization. Relocated them where? Thexulan was quiet for a moment. They were no longer needed. Somin felt a chill run down her spine. This alien was calmly describing genocide on a scale that was hard to imagine. Billions of sentient beings had been murdered to expand the Vakari Empire. How do you justify killing so many people? She asked. They were not people, Thexulan replied. They were primitives, animals. We gave their worlds purpose. And what makes you think humans are any different? I am beginning to think I was wrong about that. Meanwhile, on a hidden space station at the edge of the solar system, Captain Jinsu was preparing for a secret mission. His ship, the Docto, was the most advanced reconnaissance vessel in the human fleet. It could travel faster and farther than any other ship humanity had built. Captain, his navigator reported. Course laid in for Vakari space. We should reach their territory in 3 days. Excellent, Jinsu replied. Remember, this is a stealth mission. We're going to observe their empire and gather intelligence. We need to know what we're up against. The Docto activated its advanced cloaking systems and jumped to hyperspace. It was invisible to any sensors the aliens possessed. As far as the Vakari knew, humans had no ships capable of traveling to their territory. They were wrong about that, just as they had been wrong about everything else. Back on Earth, Dr. Yunji was studying the psychological profiles of the alien prisoners. She was humanity's leading expert on combat psychology. Her job was to understand how the enemy thought. "They're completely unprepared for what they encountered," she reported to Admiral Hana. "The Vakari have always won through superior numbers and firepower. They've never faced an enemy that could match their technology." "What about their tactics?" Hana asked. "Rigid, predictable. They follow the same battle plans they've used for centuries. They're not adaptable like humans are. This was humanity's greatest advantage. Humans were survivors. They had evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill them. They had learned to adapt, to improvise, to find new solutions to old problems. The aliens, by contrast, had become comfortable with their dominance. They had stopped innovating. Centuries ago, Engineer Siok was studying the wreckage of the alien ships. Human technology was clearly superior, but he wanted to understand why. In his laboratory aboard the orbital station, he examined pieces of Vakari armor and weapons. "Fascinating," he muttered to himself. "Their technology is actually quite advanced, but it's all designed around energy-based systems. They never developed kinetic weapons beyond the most basic level. This explained why human weapons had been so effective. The aliens had built their defenses to stop energy attacks. They had never imagined that someone might use simple physical projectiles moving at incredible speeds. It's like they brought swords to a gunfight," Siok told his assistant. "Except in this case, we brought railguns to an energy weapon fight." Colonel Tae-hyun was leading a team of human soldiers through one of the captured alien ships. They were studying Vakari military, equipment, and procedures. What they found was both impressive and disturbing. "These ships are built for one purpose," he reported to Fleet Admiral Junho. "Destroying other civilizations. Look at this." He showed Junho a room filled with strange devices. "These are terraforming machines. They're designed to change the atmosphere of conquered planets to make them suitable for Vakari life. But the process kills any native life forms." "How long does it take?" Junho asked. "According to the manuals, about 6 months. They've done this to dozens of worlds. Billions of people have died." Junho felt anger growing in his chest. These aliens were not just conquerors. They were genocidal monsters who had been spreading death across the galaxy for 1,000 years. "Sir," Tae-hyun continued, "there's something else. I found their communication logs. They've been sending regular reports back to their empire." "What kind of reports?" "Status updates on their conquest. The last message was sent just before they attacked Earth. They told their superiors that humans were a primitive species and that conquest would be easy." Junho smiled grimly. "Then their empire is expecting a victory report." "Yes, sir. They're expecting Thexulan to tell them that Earth has been conquered and its population exterminated." "How long before they expect to hear from him?" "Based on their schedule, about 2 weeks." This gave humanity time to prepare. The Vakari Empire would eventually realize that their fleet had been destroyed. When that happened, they would send more ships, many more ships, but humanity would be ready. Major Wu Jin was training human soldiers in new combat techniques. The alien prisoners had taught them a lot about Vakari military capabilities. Now human forces were adapting their tactics to fight an empire-wide war. "The key is mobility," he told his troops. "The aliens are used to fighting slow, predictable battles. We need to be fast and unpredictable. Hit them hard, then disappear before they can respond." His soldiers practiced with new weapons, designed specifically for fighting Vakari forces. Kinetic rifles that could punch through alien armor. Explosive. Charges that could disable their ships. Portable shield generators that could stop their energy weapons. Every piece of equipment had been tested against captured alien technology. Humanity was preparing for war on a scale they had never imagined. 6 months later, Admiral Hana stood on the observation deck of the new battleship Soul's Pride. Through the massive windows, she could see the human fleet assembled around Earth. Hundreds of ships floated in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. These were not the same ships that had defended Earth from the first alien attack. In 6 months, humanity had built an entirely new fleet, ships that were larger, faster, and more heavily armed than anything they had ever created before. Status report, Hana requested. Commander Minho, now serving as her chief of staff, consulted. His data pad. All ships report ready for combat. The new quantum torpedo batteries are fully charged. Kinetic weapons are loaded and calibrated. Cloaking systems are operating at peak efficiency. Any word from Captain Jinsu? The Dokdo returned from its reconnaissance mission 2 hours ago. Captain Jinsu is on his way up to brief you personally. Hana nodded. For 6 months, Jinsu had been conducting secret missions deep in Vakari space. His ship had visited dozens of alien worlds, mapping their defenses and studying their military capabilities. The information he had gathered would determine humanity's strategy for the coming war. Captain Jinsu entered the observation deck. He looked tired, but determined. His ship had traveled farther from Earth than any human vessel in history. "Admiral," he said, "I have the information you requested." "Tell me everything." Jinsu activated a holographic display. Star maps filled the air around them, showing the vast Vakari Empire in stunning detail. "The good news is that their technology hasn't improved at all," he began. "They're still using the same energy-based weapons and shield systems we defeated 6 months ago. They haven't learned from their defeat. And the bad news? They have over 2 million ships spread across their empire. When they realize their invasion fleet was destroyed, they'll send everything they have against us." Hana studied the map. The Vakari Empire was enormous, spanning thousands of star systems. But she noticed something interesting. "Their ships are spread very thin," she observed. "They are trying to control too much territory with too few forces." "Exactly," Jinsu agreed. "Most of their worlds have only small garrison fleets. They rely on the fact that no one has ever successfully resisted them." "What about their industrial capacity?" "Massive. They have shipyards in every system. But here's the interesting part. All of their factories are automated. The Vakari themselves don't do manual labor. They consider it beneath them." This was valuable information. If humanity could disrupt the alien production facilities, it would cripple their ability to build new ships. Dr. Soman joined them on the observation deck. She had spent 6 months interviewing alien prisoners, learning everything she could about Vakari society and psychology. "Admiral," she reported, "I've finished my analysis of the alien command structure. They have a critical weakness." "What kind of weakness?" "They're completely dependent on centralized command. Every major decision has to be approved by their High Council on their capital world. Individual commanders have very little authority to adapt or improvise. So if we can disrupt their communications, their entire military will become paralyzed. They won't know how to respond without orders from above." This was exactly the kind of information humanity needed. The aliens were powerful, but they were not invincible. They had weaknesses that could be exploited. Fleet Admiral Junho appeared on the main communication screen. He was calling from the secret command center beneath Earth's surface. "Admiral Hana," he said, "we've intercepted communications from the Vakari Empire. They're finally beginning to realize that something went wrong with their invasion fleet." "What are they saying?" "They're demanding a status report from War Prime Thexalon. When they don't get one, they'll send ships to investigate." "How long do we have?" "Based on their communication patterns, I estimate 2 weeks before the first reconnaissance ships arrive. After that, we'll have perhaps another month before they send a full invasion force." Hana nodded. Humanity had used their time well, but the real test was still coming. In the prisoner facilities, War Prime Thexulan sat in his comfortable cell, reading human books and trying to understand the species that had defeated him. The humans had given him access to their history, their literature, their science. What he had learned disturbed him deeply. Dr. Somin visited him regularly. Their conversations had become less like interrogations and more like philosophical discussions. "Your species is very strange," Thexulan told her during one of their meetings. "You have the power to destroy my entire empire, but you treat your prisoners with kindness." "We're not monsters," Somin replied. "We don't enjoy killing. We just want to be left in peace. But you won't be left in peace. My empire will never stop trying to destroy you. It's what we do." "Then we'll have to stop your empire." Thexulan looked at her with something like pity. "You don't understand. The Vakari Empire controls thousands of worlds. We have resources beyond imagination. Even if you defeat 10 fleets, we'll send 100 more." "You still don't understand," Somin said gently. "Humans are very good at stopping things that threaten us. We've had lots of practice." On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Admiral Hana received an urgent message from the outer system warning, "Stations." "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're detecting hyperspace signatures at the edge of the solar system. Vakari ships are arriving." "How many?" "Just 3 ships. They appear to be scouts," Hana smiled. "The Vakari were finally coming to investigate what had happened to their invasion fleet. They were about to get a very unpleasant surprise." "Let them enter the system," she ordered, "but don't let them leave." The 3 Vakari scout ships emerged from hyperspace near Pluto. They were sleek and dangerous looking, but tiny compared to the fleet that had attacked Earth 6 months earlier. On the bridge of the lead scout ship, Commander Vextar studied his sensor readings. Something was very wrong. He should be detecting the massive fleet that War Prime Thexulan had brought to conquer this system. Instead, he saw only empty space and debris. "Sir," his sensor operator reported, "I'm detecting wreckage throughout the system. The energy signatures match our fleet's ships." "What happened to them?" "Unknown, sir, but there's a lot of debris. I think they were all destroyed." Vextar felt cold fear creep into his hearts. A fleet of 200 ships had been destroyed? How was that possible? "Sir," another officer called out, "I'm detecting energy signatures near the 3rd planet, large ones." On the tactical display, the human fleet became visible. Hundreds of ships surrounded Earth, their weapons aimed at the Vakari scouts. "Impossible," Vextar whispered. The intelligence report said these humans were primitive. A transmission came through on the standard communication frequency. It was in perfect Vakari, spoken by a female human voice. "Vakari vessels, this is Admiral Hana of Earth Defense Command. You are trespassing in human space. Leave immediately or be destroyed." Vextar stared at the display. The human fleet was massive, far larger than the one that had supposedly defeated Thexulan's invasion force. Where had all these ships come from? "Send a message to the High Council," he ordered his communications officer. "Tell them the invasion fleet has been destroyed. Tell them the humans are not primitive. Tell them—" His words were cut off as the human fleet opened fire. Kinetic slugs tore through his ship's shields as if they were made of paper. Energy beams sliced through their hulls like knives through cloth. In less than 30 seconds, all 3 scout ships were destroyed. No survivors, no witnesses. On Earth, Admiral Hana watched the destruction of the scout ships with grim satisfaction. The aliens had come looking for answers. Instead, they had found only death. "Any survivors?" she asked. "Negative, Commander," Minho replied. "All 3 ships were completely destroyed." "Good. The Vakari Empire still doesn't know what really happened to their invasion fleet. Let's keep it that way." Weeks passed. The Vakari High Council waited for reports from their scout ships. When no reports came, they sent more scouts. Those ships were also destroyed before they could send any messages. Finally, the High Council decided to send a full investigation fleet. 50 ships, led by War Commander Grixton, jumped into the human solar system prepared for anything. They found the human fleet waiting for them. "Surrender immediately," Admiral Hanna broadcast to the alien ships. "You are outnumbered and outgunned. Your weapons cannot hurt us. Your shields cannot protect you." War Commander Grixton looked at his tactical display. The human fleet was enormous. Thousands of ships surrounded his small force. Each one was larger and more heavily armed than anything in his fleet. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Humans are supposed to be a young species." His intelligence officer was frantically scanning the human ships. "Sir, their technology is far more advanced than ours. I'm reading energy signatures I don't recognize. Weapon systems I've never seen before." "Fire!" Grixton ordered. "All ships, open fire!" The Vakari fleet unleashed everything they had. Energy beams and plasma missiles filled the space between the fleets. For a moment, it looked like a real battle. Then the human ships fired back. The alien ships were destroyed so quickly that it barely qualified as a fight. Human kinetic weapons tore through their hulls. Quantum torpedoes erased entire vessels from existence.